trying to increase sales, expand your customer base, increase repeat business, or sell new products and services? Well, I'm here to outline the ways you can establish long-term value creation. Grab a pen and a paper and let's dive in. It's no secret that the COVID-19 pandemic has disintegrated the status quo. Businesses are trying to build on a Jenga tower that is no longer sustainable. Nothing is balanced, and it does no one any good to hang onto a rock that is falling with them. It would benefit leaders to reimagine new possibilities of doing business, taking ownership, and utilizing this crisis as an opportunity to take necessary steps to evolve, create solutions, and develop viable frameworks. Now, I shouldn't have to talk you into seeing the value of sustainability, but then again, some people didn't believe that cannabis could yield a viable industry. Over $6 billion in total sales and an essential business decree later, opinions have changed. Evidence shows that when executives consistently make decisions and investments with long-term objectives in mind, their companies generate more shareholder value, they create more jobs, and they contribute to more economic growth than their rival companies who only focus on short-term growth. But before you go making it rain on some new initiatives, know this. In order to create long-term value, your return on invested capital must exceed your cost of capital. So who am I? And what authority do I have to say any of this to you? My name is Shalise Rogers, a multi-business owner, a multi-degree holder, a solution designer, public speaker, and sustainability consultant with a decade of corporate finance, financial accounting, and strategic planning experience, coupled with exposure to public policy, marketing, and community engagement strategies. It's a mouthful, but hey, I'm dynamic. I sit on the board of NYC Normal, the National Cannabis Commission, and the Black and Minority Chamber of Commerce in my city, and am affiliated with many political and social coalitions. Cannabis is a commodity that isn't being treated like one. Because of the lack of innovation, the industry is bottoming out before it even has a chance to fly. The truth is, there's a profit ceiling many cannabis companies won't be able to surpass. I've had the privilege of working with a few in different sectors and witnessing P&L statements go from being in the red to being in the black and now being in the green, but not being able to outperform themselves. The problem is that cannabis usage is ubiquitous, but cannabis innovation just isn't. Growing profits often depend on leadership's ability to generate new ideas and solutions. They'll flop if they don't, or they'll see a consistent decrease in their revenue over time. So here are 3 ways you can establish long-term value creation that increases profits. Number 1, innovation through the optimization of hemp as a commodity. The Hemp Farming Act of 2018 removed hemp from being a Schedule I controlled substance and made it an ordinary agricultural commodity. What the Farming Act has done instead is given us a lack of regulation, overproduction of hemp used for a limited range of products, and very conflicting messages from the FDA about the legality of CBD products. I'm genuinely confused. Is CBD legal? Like seriously, hemp is the future. This plant's stalk and fibers have over 25,000 uses. It's renewable, natural, biodegradable, and it can replace plastics. It can also produce paper, textiles, and building materials. It can reduce pollution by absorbing CO2, cleaning the atmosphere, and rebuilding eroded soil. However, a lack of infrastructure, public and private funded research, and a lack of advanced machinery have us on the lower end of the learning curve compared to other countries. What should be a booming hemp industry in America is travailing. Great job, Mitch. What we need are market and technological innovations. Luckily, here we are globally in the depths of an economic revolution. We have the convergence of the internet, technology, transportation, and renewable energy options with ongoing automation that doesn't really need human intervention. Like many others, the truth is that the cannabis industry must divest from practices that rely heavily on fossil fuels. It's contradictory. Oil and other fossil fuel energies that make up our industrial way of life are sunsetting. Technologies made from and propelled by these energies are antiquated. Nearly all critical industries have emerged from oil culture. The automotive industries, power and utilities, commercial constructions, telecommunications. The result is a stagnant GDP that has reached its ceiling, causing record unemployment levels all over the world and CO2 emissions that threaten our life on Earth. Our entire industrial infrastructure is built off of fossil fuels. Fossil fuel-based industry activity isn't sustainable. Fossil fuel-based industry activity isn't sustainable. Fossil fuel-based industrial activity isn't sustainable. Fossil fuel-based industry activity is not sustainable! And hemp can be a favorable short-term climate tool. Whether you like it or not, the third industrial revolution is here, and it comes with a disruptive and fundamental change in the way that capitalism functions. I have a separate video lined up where I'll go more in depth discussing the third industrial revolution and what place the emerging cannabis industry has in it. But what you really need to know is that nations are already investing in renewable energy technologies on a massive scale. They're converting buildings into green micro power plants, they're laying down green energy internets, and they're transforming cars from internal combustion engines to electric plug-ins and fuel cell cars. Private companies like yours must invest in the research and development of hemp optimization. There are already many industries and companies materializing innovative hemp products with zero fossil fuel in the formulation. When we understand and build frameworks to produce hemp products and new technologies, we can discover new products and solutions. If everyone is just selling CBD oil, we basically get what we already have now, an oversaturation of the market with brands that start to look the same. As hemp becomes more mainstream, the demand will be higher for these new products, technologies, and services, which will drive the farming industry. Intelligently designed and properly implemented sustainability programs with circular production processes allow businesses to be even more profitable. However, transformation on this scale requires sustainable practices that are consistent and repeated. 2. Sustainability and resilience strategies through social responsibility. The future of cannabis sustainability shouldn't be restricted to areas that correlate with production, such as energy consumption, water usages, or waste disposal. Sustainable decisions and behaviors should be valued and prioritized rather than be considered as an afterthought. Incorporating sustainable practices and addressing social values into your business can yield positive, intangible results. These results become assets, a competitive advantage that you should incorporate into your strategies and your metrics. Making sustainability a central part of your strategy doesn't have to be rooted in trying to save the world. In my opinion, it's considered being practical. It provides an opportunity to meet your market's demand in the long term, and it affects your company's market value and reputation. In order to future-proof your operations, you have to start moving away from linear business models and embrace a circular production process. As I've said before, the main idea here is to phase out the use of fossil fuels or plastics and find more sustainable products that are available for use. If they're not available, see point number 1. It means that there's a value that needs to be created. So what are some sustainable practices that you can enact now? You can analyze your product or service and determine how your value chain can be made more sustainable and profitable. Look at where your source materials come from. What are your production methods? How are you handling packaging, marketing, sales, and any other aspect of how your product or service is made and handled? Can you meet on Zoom versus driving to a location? How can you conserve resources and reduce pollution? Sometimes sustainable practices are way simpler than we make them out to be. You can promote and publicize your sustainability practices and your consumer values to your customers. Many of today's consumers want products that have positive environmental, social, and health impacts. They think of their patronage to your business as a way to express social, political, or environmental values. In a survey, 70% of consumers say that they would pay 5% more for a green product if it met the same performance standards as a non-green alternative. 47% of consumers who are disappointed with a brand's stance on social issues stop buying altogether. None of what I'm saying here is even new. These are environmental, social, and corporate governance initiatives, as well as corporate social responsibility initiatives. Just apply to cannabis companies. If you're going to be part of an industry that has historically perpetuated the oppression of Black and Hispanic people, disproportionately harass, imprison, stigmatize, and disenfranchise their communities while blocking them out of opportunities in the legal cannabis industry, while not having any social justice or diversity and inclusion initiatives as a part of your strategic planning, it's a whole fail. Throw it away. Your plans must go beyond having one or two white passing or token people there. I said what I said. It's accountability season and cancel season. Consumers are out for blood, and trust me, you do not want that smoke. Do not want that smoke. No smoke. Companies have seen their revenues and profits decline, or the complete closure of their businesses when they don't value their customers, when they don't examine their value chains, or when they have waste or pollution spills, and even when they share racist rhetoric. With ongoing protests still happening, the last thing that consumers want are empty performative words. They want to see transparency into hiring practices at leadership levels. They want to know that you are following words with sustainable action. 3. Substantive diversity and inclusion practices. Cannabis companies have some of the craziest turnovers I've ever seen. It's almost rivaling restaurants and retail industries. When you implement sustainable practices in your business, you also attract employees who become dedicated to your company's vision and purpose. You have values they believe in, and they feel part of a bigger mission. Mission-driven companies have 40% higher employee retention rates than their peers. When your employees feel more engaged with their work, you see better performance and efficiency. That increases your profitability. It's so easy to reduce diversity to a focus on gender, ethnicity, or race. And I'm not entirely sure why this isn't commonly understood, but diversity strengthens your brand and your business. Diversity can always be converted into a service, and service means more profits. Language and culture are resources that can allow a company to expand its reach and its approach to its customers from a place of relatability. When companies don't have a diverse team, especially at the leadership level and within their marketing departments, they risk sending out messages that do not land well with particular communities. There's no feedback loop. We must all examine any biases that we have towards change because we cling to outdated paths of operating. We must look towards establishing a sustainable and a responsible adult use cannabis industry. Seeing the long-term profitability of these sustainability strategies is a process of understanding environmental and social limitations that reflect society's demand and their requirements. My challenge to you all is to apply everything we've talked about today into your strategic plans. I'm interested to see how it would affect you and your business's outcomes. This conversation applies to entrepreneurs who are building their objectives and key results for the year, small to medium-sized businesses looking to reduce their carbon footprint, and bigger corporations seeking to become legacy cannabis companies. Weed the culture and the industry, push ideas and agendas forward, and then policymakers catch up to what we've already established. These topics are innovative and can sometimes seem complex at first, but fortunately this video is not only available for you to rewatch, but you can also book a free one-on-one with me to go over any business growth and development initiatives you have, or to ask me any questions. Thank you so much to the Growth from Home team for providing this platform for innovators to share their ideas. Sister Rogers, out.